Matt George, ABC 10, and host of Locked On Kings. The guy's
Wait,
killing.
let me guess. You're talking about paying Kaminga over Keegan Murray?
I gave the hypothetical. I said, if you could only pay one of them, which one would you pay? And
Keegan Murray?
I was stuck. I was stuck. It wasn't a quick one, but I probably said Kuminga. And I don't even like
why not both?
Oh, the hell yeah. I don't like my own question. I want both of them on this team. I want both of them. I want to see Keegan and Kaminga eventually. We'll get to that maybe a little later, but eventually in the starting lineup together, working together, being 3-4 interchangeable, all this other stuff. I think that'd be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So that's my thought. But Matt, don't nobody want to hear me ramble. Everybody been following you the last week because you've been killing it. Well, they've been following you before that, but you've been killing it this past week with everything that's going on as much as you can. What the hell was going on last night?
Things pick up quickly when there's a lot of smoke. What there's a fire. You're just trying to figure out how big the fire is or what kind of fire it is truly. All right. It's been a 24 hours. There's been stuff that I have directly put out there, other stuff that has been put out there that is associated with me or to me. So I'll try and clarify things as best as I can. Here's what I know. The Sacramento Kings have interest in Jonathan Kaminga. Duh. I think we all know that. We've all established that. That's been out there for days. That's there's nothing new on that. When the recirculation of a Dennis Schroeder sign and trade with Detroit happened, I of course checked in. And when I checked in, someone who I very much trust, who's connected here in Sacramento, informed me that yes, there are still potentially Malik Monk conversations happening with Detroit, but that Sacramento's attention has turned heavily in the direction of Jonathan Kaminga. Pursuing that a little bit more, asking follow-up questions, I got again from people that I trust explicitly that the Kings conversation with the Golden State Warriors likely does not involve Malik Monk, seemingly because the Warriors are not interested in Malik Monk, and a lack of interest in Monk has been a pretty consistent theme throughout the league over the last couple of weeks. This one, I don't know if it's because of his contract. I don't know if it's because there's already Moses Moody and Buddy Hield on the roster, but it makes sense to me that the Warriors aren't necessarily interested in Malik. So then, of course, the natural follow-up questions are, okay, so one, how do the Kings open up the money in order to go out and acquire Jonathan Kuminga in a sign and trade? And two, what do the Warriors want? What are the Warriors interested in? And look, I understand every organization's fan base overvalues their talent. We're certainly guilty of that here in Sacramento. I put this out on social media, but just to reiterate, anybody in their right mind who's mentioning Keegan Murray in any of these conversations, just disregard completely. The Sacramento Kings are not going to give up a core piece for the right to pay Jonathan Kuminga. Some people have a hard time wrapping their brain around what's going on here. The Kings are not trading a piece for Kuminga. They're trading essentially for the Warriors to help them facilitate a payday for Kuminga that the Kings would foot the bill. So the Kings are not going to give you significant value for the right to pay a contract. It's not going to happen. So that's where I got word of the names that the Kings are throwing out there, are making available. That's Devin Carter, that's Dario Saric, and potential draft compensation. That part was muddied. I've heard 2 second rounders. I've also heard potentially a first rounder. The furthest that my reporting goes is that I was told, and again, this was information that was circulating throughout different cities from different people of different walks of life. I have heard many things from different people in Sacramento in the past and not run from it because I only had that side. We can go back to the Zach LaVine thing. You can even go back to draft night. You can go back to the Keegan Murray draft. The reason why I went with what I had is because multiple sources, again, around the league are hearing the same things and have the same information. Typically, when that happens, there's validity to it. So where my reporting ends, the most recent thing was what I said last night, that talks were advanced. Now, that doesn't mean talks were finished. That doesn't mean a deal was done. Doesn't mean it was first and goal on the one. And Kings fans should understand that reference. It just means that talks were advanced. It went beyond just a framework conversation. They were actively in deep conversations, or conversations had happened to a significant level. That is where my reporting ends. NBC puts out an article. Tristy Rodriguez, wonderful woman if you get the chance to follow her and cover her work. She does not just great work with the Kings and Warriors, phenomenal work with the Valkyries. Mm-hmm. She puts out the article reporting that it is a three-team trade. The the Detroit Pistons are involved as part of the Malik Monk sign-and trade. Makes sense financially because the Kings would need to do that to open up some money. She reports that. Now that's when you start to see these other preliminary reports, Slater and Amick and even Carmichael Dave, like putting stuff out there that no, this isn't true, or it's not that far along, or blah 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 blah. So my reporting does not include the 3-team deal. I had heard rumors of that, but never been told definitively from the people that I trust most that it is a 3-team deal. So I cannot confirm or deny any of those specifics. I know talks have happened. I know they got pretty far along. I know the Sacramento Kings are very interested in Kuminga, but I also know Scott Perry ain't going to be pushed around. And Scott Perry is not going to allow the Warriors to take more than they should in a sign and trade. And on the flip side, if you're the Golden State Warriors, you're not desperate yet. You're in a tough spot, but you're not desperate yet. If the Warriors want to play the long game, if the Warriors want to go, okay, we'll just bring him back on a deal. We'll pay him short term and then try and figure out if we can get a better offer or a better deal down the road. They can do that. The Kings are putting pressure on the Warriors. And I know some people, I guess, misunderstood what I meant or didn't quite didn't see eye to eye with the pressure. I'm not saying the Kings are putting pressure on the Warriors to where you have to make this deal, or there's nothing better that you're going to get. The Kings are essentially giving the Warriors an out and giving them their best option right now that does not involve them having to pay Kuminga's contract themselves and bring him back. The Kings are the ones giving them the option. Doesn't mean that the Warriors are going to say yes, and the Warriors might not like that package. I saw that package. When I was told that package, Kenny, I laughed. That was my first reaction. But Scott Perry is making, hey, here's draft compensation. Here's a lottery pick from last season. If you like it or you don't like it, okay. We're not giving you more than that, and we will be just fine too if we don't get Kuminga. If the Kings don't get Jonathan Kuminga, if you guys move on, we'll move forward too, because it's not like we're a Jonathan Kaminga away from winning an NBA championship. So Perry's putting his foot down. The Warriors, of course, are going to put their foot down. Who knows how involved Detroit is in all of this or not. The only timeline or rush on this entire conversation is July 6th. Is by that point, the Kings have to have a sign and trade for Dennis Schroeder done. It sounds like they're going to have something with Detroit. Whether it's Malik Monk or just the sign and trade that gives some financial flexibility to Detroit, that's to be seen. If the deal is if it's going to be a 3-team deal that involves Malik Monk, it has to get done by the 6th. But if the deal is not done by the 6th, that doesn't mean that the Kings and Kuminga are done and dead and over with. So we're in this point of waiting. We'll find out. There's a ton of smoke, which means there's a fire.
Excellent job, man. Excellent. I want to run something past you. And like I said, this is just me talking to Matt George. You ain't got a report or confirm nothing like that. But I was telling Jesse and everybody else today, I was thinking about what had been reported as what the Kings were offering. Sarge, Devin Carter, couple of picks, second round, whatever you want to say. But much like you, I hear that and I'm like, what? That sounds crazy. That sounds ridiculous. And then I thought about it some more. And I was like, why would that be the offer? Like, why would you offer that? Then I started to think, well, Scott Perry he's not new to this. He knows how to negotiate. He knows this is where we get into the differences between him and Monty McNair. He's been around this game for I don't know how long. He's built relationships. He knows how to work the league and talk to other people in the league. And I'm just thinking about it. Maybe he knows that's the best you can get, Golden State. That is the best you can get. Now, maybe hearing this, maybe Miami or somebody else might change what they've told everybody that they're willing to give you and up it a little bit. Like we could beat that or whatever the case may be. But number one, I'm talking to Scott Perry now. I've checked around the league. You can't get any better than that if you're trying to trade him. Also, Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy Jr., I know you don't want him. You've said it a number of different ways with not giving him a contract extension, with getting Jimmy Butler, with benching him repeatedly. You and your coach don't want him there, and he don't want to be there. So this is my offer. Maybe we can work on it. Maybe somebody else offers more, but I know what his market is, and that's why that's the offer. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, there's a saying in negotiations where the most power that you can have is the ability to walk away. And I think that is a position that the Kings kind of, and the Warriors too, but I think especially the Kings are in. Scott Perry knows, hey, just like the Kings are struggling to figure out what Malik Monk's market is, and we've covered that extensively, you and D'Lo have covered that extensively here, I think the Golden State Warriors are going through the exact same thing with Kuminga. And I also think Kaminga and his camp individually are going through that same thing as well, because they're still looking to get paid. And the money that they're looking for, I don't think is out there. But some money is going to be out there because Kaminga is a good enough a player for a team like the Kings and other teams in the league to take a flyer on. He doesn't fit Golden State. He doesn't want to be there in Golden State. Clearly, he wants a fresh start. I don't think the Golden State Warriors want to have to foot the bill when everybody's worried about aprons and the Warriors are still trying to get one more title window open for Steph Curry before he rides off into the sunset. Scott Perry knows all of this. So Kings fans might not be used to this because we're used to having it held against us. Scott Perry's using the leverage that he has. Again, the Kings are not a Jonathan Kuminga away from winning anything. I would argue that if the Kings were to go out and acquire this trade, or it happened, let's say Jonathan Kuminga is a King by the start of next season. I don't know how much better I'm feeling about the Kings' immediate ability to succeed next year. I think they'll be a better basketball team, but not significantly. So the Kings aren't operating with that in mind necessarily. Now, they've added a young piece to Keegan Murray, and now we're starting to see the semblance of a plan. So I think that is what excites the Kings and excites Kings fans more at this point. So the Kings and Perry can walk away at any point knowing, okay, we'll just look at what other options are out there. The Warriors might say that they're willing to do the same, but Perry is much more willing to call their bluff because as of right now, the Warriors are on the hook for Kuminga's deal. So the Kings can walk away and wipe their hands like nothing ever happened. The Warriors still got to figure out what to do with Kuminga. That's the tough spot that they're in. So yes, I agree with you. I think Perry knows that he doesn't have to put a lucrative offer on the table. I personally, and I think I heard you talking about this earlier, KC, I would be okay with the Kings sweetening the deal a little bit, not to a level that would be absurd. But again, you're trading for the right to pay Kuminga, not just for Kuminga's contract outright. So like if you want to make it a first round pick or you want to make it something like you want to have Devin Carter and something besides Saric that makes sense, like, okay. And maybe that's where negotiations are at this point or where the stall has happened. And I wouldn't blame the Warriors at all for taking their time and looking around the rest of the league and going, come on, there's got to be something better. But the Kings don't have to be the ones to put that on the table. Perry can basically say, here's the deal, or here's the idea. Here's what we're willing to offer. Give me a call when you're ready to play ball.
Right.
I think that's what Perry's doing, and it makes sense.
And you bring up a great point that I don't think I've even brought up today is not only are you giving up compensation, and this may be the holdup on the market for Kaminga. But not only am I giving up players from my team if I'm trying to trade them anywhere else in the league, but I also got to pay them. So like Miami may look at it like, I'm gonna give you Jaime Jaquez and this person, and I got to pay him $20 million a year. I don't know if I want to do all that, and there may be only one team that may be looking at it, talking about the Sacramento Kings, who are like, yeah, for the right compensation trade package, we'll pay him his money.
So, I mean, I see this comment in the chatty house, and they're right. Like, Jonathan Kuminga has way more value than Devin Carter. Yes, he does. But again, the value for Golden State is not having to pay Jonathan Kuminga while taking something back so they don't lose him for nothing. Right? So therein lies the value. You're not talking about, this isn't NBA 2K where it's 3 stars and 3 stars and you're trying to find equal value in a handshake, perfect, even trade. That doesn't exist in this scenario. The Warriors are looking to move on and not have to pay, but not lose a lottery pick, a high lottery pick for nothing. And the Sacramento Kings are looking to acquire that player and pay that contract, but don't have to give up an arm and a leg in order to do that. So if that's where the standstill is, then again, the pressure is on Golden State because they're on the hook for it. If they want to play the long game, which is a very valid play, and it would make perfect sense to me if they say, we think we can get better later, then they got to negotiate the deal, get Kuminga to say okay, and figure it out until they find that better deal. But there's no guarantee that their better deal will be out there. Kuminga's market does not sound great. And I would argue if they were to, let's say they agree to terms with Kuminga for $22 million a year, I would argue that potentially lowers Kuminga's value down the road, because now I know I'm trading for a $22 million contract and I have to give you the salary and the value to match that. So the Warriors' best chance at getting value and avoiding the payday is right now. Let's see if they take it.
Yeah, I think so too. And then also if they bring him back, which is an option, it's an option for them to do it. But you take him back and you're gonna not play him again, like you did in last year, at $22 million, or even if they did it at $7 million and say, hey, we'll try and trade him at the deadline. Well, you're not playing him. What you think you're gonna do better than Sarge, Carter, and two picks at that point if you're not paying him, and he's 3 months away from free agency? It was something that I didn't see coming. I did not see this type of play, but this is why Scott Perry, even though I was frustrated with him and have been frustrated with him with like the Trae Young thing and all this other stuff, I still let him cook, because this is the opportunistic small market GM type of stuff that we needed here in Sacramento. And so far, just having the sense to try this is something that we haven't had here in Sacramento, and I don't know how long.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one thing that I can say definitively is that Scott Perry is not going to be pushed around. Mm-hmm. Scott Perry is willing to explore options. He's willing to get creative. And some people might get frustrated because at times this is going to run perpendicular to how you feel as a fan. But Scott, I think, has his type, or has his player, has his vision for this team. And if you do not fit that vision, and it seems like in the case of Malik Monk, he does not fit that vision, Scott is going to do what he feels is necessary to turn that into something that does fit. Again, that might run perpendicular to your feelings or my feelings, because I like Malik Monk a lot. Kings fans love Malik Monk. But we've been asking for a general manager with a spine to go out and make things happen for a while. One comes in here and is trying to make things happen and has a spine, but is potentially willing to move on from your fan favorite. You got to let him do something. So I'm not advocating for the Kings to trade Malik Monk. I'm certainly not advocating for the Kings to give Malik Monk away for scraps. But I admire how Perry is attacking possibilities and looking at options that fit his plan, even if they're not popular. And I think Kings fans, even if you disagree with the moves that he's making, I think there should be an understanding that, okay, he's not going to be pushed around. and he's connected around the league. So the Sacramento Kings aren't just going to trade with the same 3 teams anymore like they do all the time, which is like Atlanta, San Antonio, and somebody else. Like Scott Perry is going to make moves.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. Now we'll talk about this like internally. We're in Sacramento. We're not at the negotiating table anymore. I'm Scott Perry. You're BJ Armstrong, or we can flip that however you want to.
You can be Scott.
Okay, cool. All right, man. BJ, we kind of close to this thing. And I know we talk about like kind of walking away, but are we too close? And is this too much of a reality where we kind of want to close this deal? Like we'll sweeten it up a little bit, but we've got the fish on the hook a little bit. We want to get this done. They don't need to know how anxious we are to get it done, but I'm talking to you. We want to get this done. JK is kind of like would be great for what we're trying to do. Do you think they're having those discussions?
Oh, I think there's a very good chance that those discussions are being had, but I think that what I would think that needs to be established is how much further are we willing to go? And this could be twofold. How much more are we willing to give Kuminga? And how much more are we willing to give the Warriors? And where's our breaking point? And we're going to stand firm on that breaking point. The Warriors, Kaminga, all parties are going to know, even Detroit, all parties are going to know we are not budging past this point. There's more potentially for you to go out and get if this is real, but we're not budging past this point. And I don't think that point is much further than what they're offering. This is me speculating. This is not me reporting. So I think Kaminga is one of the best options out there for real, tangible change. You talk about kickstarting a new era of Kings basketball. I know Neat Clifford and Maxime Reynaud were drafted, 2 rookies, and we're very excited about both of them. I talked to both of them today. I was blown away by both of them. They're awesome dudes. I'm very excited to see them play. They're part of this too. But going out and acquiring Jonathan Kuminga is a real start, right? That is a real start. It doesn't mean it's going to work out, but that's a real start.
Right.
If they think that is, sorry, I'm BJ, you're Scott. Scott, if we think that this is the best chance that we can get right now, and we don't know when this chance is going to open again, looking at the past of the Kings have struggled to make moves because they weren't willing to take chances. So I think we should take this chance. I think there are probably conversations like that happening in that building. But again, there's a line that I don't think Scott and his front office are willing to cross, and they're happy to walk away.
Yeah.
And that's good. If you don't have that line, that's when you get taken advantage of.
Right. I agree with you, Matt. You've been phenomenal this whole offseason, doing a fantastic job for ABC 10 and for Locked On Kings. And I know it's been a super busy day. So I appreciate you carving out the time, man, and pulling up on me, man. It was great talking to you and great insight again, man. Great job.
I appreciate you, Casey. I'll sneak this in really quick. Kings fans, get excited about Maxime and Neek. I like these two. Maxime is brilliant, man. We're talking computer science and mathematics major. Like, dude is brilliant. He's also like seeing a 7'2" dude in person. Holy crap. And Neek is, I'm so excited, man. I can't wait till Summer League.
Yeah, I can't wait either. That's going to be some good times, man. Matt, enjoy your 4th of July. Everybody out there in Sacramento and surrounding areas, enjoy your 4th of July. Please be safe. Please be safe. Don't pull a Terry. Get out of the way. We want everybody to come back healthy with all their limbs and all that good stuff. So enjoy your 4th of July. Eat good. Shout out to the Giants. They're in town. Vamos Gigantes. Do work. And we're going to be back here Monday morning at 10 a.m. And when we come back Monday morning at 10 a.m., I don't know. We might have a different Kings team, bro. We might have a different Kings team. I'm in. Matt George and all these guys, they didn't got me roped in, man. I'm in. I'm ready for this to happen. Scott, let's get it done. But if it gets done, you already know where to go. You need to be right here, 10 a.m., ESPN 1320. The insiders to kick it off. D-Lo and KC will be in here. James Ham, everybody, Matt George throughout the week. We're going to have a good time. But once again, I want everybody to have a fantastic 4th of July. Shout out to Kyle Matson. Shout out Coach JT. Shout out Sarah Hodges. Shout out Matt George, man. Y'all be good. We'll see you guys Monday at 10 a.m. Vamos Gigantes.